Hi everybody, I'm Neil Ronahan, and welcome to a review discussion of Xenoblade Chronicles X, which is the last great Wii U game coming out here in 2015 in North America, unless you count Devil's Third, but would you really? I'm joined here by our reviewer, Donald Terrio.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So Donald, I will let you say it. What's your elevator pitch and review score for Xenoblade Chronicles X?
Well, Xenoblade X, it's a 9.5 out of 10. It's pretty much my game of the year right now, and it's essential for any Wii U owner or anybody who likes RPGs even in the slightest.
The one thing that going into this is that it is a sequel to the previous release Xenoblade Chronicles game. What kind of sets it apart from the previous game, and do you need any prior knowledge to get into Xenoblade Chronicles X?
As far as story goes, there's no real connection at all. The only reference to Xenoblade itself is your created character can be voiced by either Shulk or Fiora from the original game. The battle, you might want to have a little bit of experience with the battle system, because if you're not used to it, there's a bit of a steep learning curve on it to start. But after that, you'll pick up on it, and it will flow like wine. And they've made enough changes to it that it's not just copy and paste from the Wii game.
Yeah, because it's kind of almost like MMO combat to an extent, because you've got a lot of cooldowns and waiting for kind of attacks to warm up and charge, and there's a lot of auto attacking. How did you like the combat in X?
I once I got used to it, and once I got a good variety of skills to use, so that I was always doing something, even if it's just auto attacking, it really started to flow. And once I got the hang of what they call the soul voice system, which is where your partners will call out, hey, you need to use a melee attack or use a gunfire, and then that gives you your bonuses and your healing. Once that started flowing, it's like, yeah, this is really getting somewhere. I don't usually play a lot of action RPGs. I tend toward more the turn-based stuff, but I could see myself getting into more of them if they're a lot like this.
Now, one of the things that you say in your review is that you say it's the best-looking game on the Wii U. Now, how does that stack up to, I guess, just kind of games all over the place, whether it's Wii U, PS4, and Xbox One?
I mean, like I said, it's the best looking game on the Wii U. Like, some of the views that you'll get in this game aren't absolutely insane, and they probably wouldn't be out of place on a PS4 or Xbox One game. Now, part of that is Monolith. Obviously, they're going to be focused on this as opposed to trying to develop for 3 platforms at once. But they've coded it right down to the limit, and I think the northern lights in this game are actually more beautiful than the ones in real life, and I didn't think that was possible.
Yeah, because that's one of my favorite things about the game, is just the draw distances and the vistas that you come across throughout it. Is that something that throughout the game and all the different continents that you go to, is that something that stays with it? Like that sense of awe and just like gawking at giant enemies set across beautiful backdrops? Yeah,
pretty much, especially when you get into the northern areas and the rainforests and gigantic waterfalls that actually look very extremely realistic. It's almost lifelike in what they're doing. I mean, the only thing that's not fully impressive about the game is some of the extreme close-ups, but you can move the camera around for those anyway.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I noticed from my playtime with the game so far, is that whenever you're in a cutscene or something and you see the characters up close, it kind of doesn't look that hot. But then once you get out into the open field and just kind of see everything from a larger picture, it looks amazing.
Yeah, it's sort of far-sighted in that way, but yeah, this is something you really do have to see to believe, and I'm not even sure even the videos that are going up on the internet right now are doing it justice. I mean, sorry, Jared and John, but you got. What we've got here is absolutely mind-blowing, especially when you're looking at it on a TV.
Now, one of the knocks about the game, you were kind of on the high end of the reviews overall right now. If we go by the Metacritic score, it's at an 8.4, which is ironic, because the people who localize this game is 8.4 Limited. They did Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. They've also done Fire Emblem Awakening, and they've been on some of our things for the NWR Telethon, which, as you're listening to this, it's happening on December 5th. So go check that out. Go donate to a charity. But going off of that, some of the lower reviews, like there's a few 7s, there's a bunch of 8s. They kind of talk about that there's just kind of a lot of annoyances throughout this magnificent game. How do you kind of respond to some of the criticism that's come out about it? And like why did it not bother you as much as it bothered other people?
Part of it was like the annoyance of trying to find specific things for specific quests. It wasn't like I was being unproductive. For instance, when I was going to the other end of the continent to do something for the Skull Quest, because you're still getting experience and you're still leveling up while you're doing this quest. The only thing that really hurt my score, and the thing that kept it at a 10 was honestly just some of the checkpointing in that game and the enemies that just come up from behind you that are 20 levels higher than you and pick you off in one shot before you have a chance to react.
Yeah, no, that was frustrating. Even I kind of put like 10 hours into the game, and that happened to me several times where I just hit a checkpoint and then immediately one shot die because I basically spawned on an enemy.
Yeah, and there's some higher end enemies known as tyrants that they're going to come in and they will be extremely aggressive in following you. So there was one quest in particular, which was the story quest right at the end of chapter 5, that I'm running through when I'm not dying because I'm getting swarmed 7-on-4 by a bunch of bugs. I'm getting attacked from behind by this thing that's twice my level, and it's taking me out.
Now, one of the things that we haven't talked about yet is these skills, which, for people who don't know, they're these mechs that you get in the game, but you don't really get them until like 30 hours in. Was it worth the wait, and how do skills kind of change combat and the gameplay and how you move around the world?
The big thing with the skulls is once you have one, you start to be able to actually kick the smaller enemies on the screen, and the bigger ones that you've been getting wrecked by for most of the last 20 hours of the game, you can suddenly take them on equal footing. And they have like 5 different weapons that determine your arts, and some of those arts do absolutely crazy amounts of damage. Like I was 2 or 3 shotting things previously that were 10 levels higher than me because the arts were that powerful for it.
Oh, that's awesome. That's one of my things I can't wait for when I get the final game is just getting my skill and exploring the world.
Yeah, the only thing more fun than having your skill is having your skill finally able to fly, because that is later on in the game. But then you can suddenly go all over the map and just see everything at that point, and even hit things that you probably shouldn't be trying to hit.
Now, one of the differences between Xenoblade Chronicles X and the previous game is while Xenoblade Chronicles had a strong emphasis on story, and that was very much the thrust, there were a lot of active main characters, like memorable main characters too. Does Xenoblade Chronicles X, it doesn't have that focus on story, but does it kind of match up in any way to how Xenoblade Chronicles flowed narratively?
It's instead of the quest-to-quest thing, because I didn't get as much time with Xenoblade as I probably should have, even though I love what I played. With Xenoblade X, it is chapter-based, so there's the beat of you have to do this quest and then you can do the story quest and proceed the story that way. Also, you're not traveling a world in this game. You're operating effectively out of a base in New Los Angeles, but then you're going out to the different continents to do the story missions or what have you to proceed the game. So there is a narrative there. It's pretty strong. There's a couple of interesting twists, although we can't really talk about them per se until the game comes out for spoiler reasons, but there is something there, but a lot of the fun of the game is going around and just seeing the world and beating up things along the way. Cool.
Is there anything else about the game that you kind of want to talk about and give people a heads up about before they get to play it for themselves on December 4th?
One of the interesting points of controversy from a couple of the reviews that I read myself was the soundtrack. I tend to agree more with Jim F. and Sterling's son in that this is one of the better soundtracks that I've heard in a long time, probably since the last Xenoblade, honestly.
Yeah, no, this soundtrack is incredible. in like the best, dumbest way possible. And I made this comparison before, and it might have even been on a video before, but it reminds me that like the vibe of Pacific Rim, and it's got this like these ridiculous battle themes with lyrics and everything that like almost literally spell out what you're doing, and it's just so much fun, and it just makes me want to go around the world and kick some ass.
Yeah, and when I don't know, it seemed like the one song that I called out in the review was it's called No EXO1. I know these are really awkward soundtrack titles, but when you're in combat, it is keeping you fired up the whole time for what is an extremely long boss fight. It sounds really good on repeat, which is a very good thing in this case, because that fight takes a very long time unless you have a full set of skills.
Well, alright, that's Xenoblade Chronicles X. You can read our review on NintendoWorldReport.com, and stay tuned for more videos about just about everything, including Xenoblade Chronicles X, and a whole lot more Game of the Year stuff's coming up. And let us know what you thought of this review discussion. We're kind of experimenting with this format to some regard. If you want more of a free-flowing conversation as opposed to me asking questions, which is kind of what this was, let us know below. Like I said, this format is a work in progress, and we're going to see how it goes over the next couple big reviews. So thank you very much, Donald, for joining me, and thank you all for watching. Bye.
Bye-bye.